here that might make you, are you an open-minded juror? Let me ask it that way.
I'm very open-minded and fair-minded. You'll not meet a person who is more fair than I am. I really do believe that justice should be colorblind, gender-blind, you name it. I think justice should. But, you know, one of our traditions about justice, about finding justice, is a defense should be able to present their witnesses. So if you can't call Hunter Biden and you can't call the whistleblower, that's sort of a sham. That's not even really a trial. So I am fair-minded, but the trial has to be fair.
Senator Rand Paul, Republican from Kentucky, thank you for coming on and sharing your views, sir. I much appreciate it.
Thank you.
And joining me now from Stamford, Connecticut is Democratic Congressman Jim Himes, who sits on the Intelligence Committee. Congressman Himes, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Good morning, Chuck.
Let me start with this. Will there be new information the public learns from these public hearings on Wednesday morning?
There will be new information. I suspect most of the public has not read the released transcripts, and what they're going to hear is they are going to hear immensely patriotic, beautifully articulated, articulate people telling the story of a president who, let's forget quid pro quo. Quid pro quo is one of these things to muddy the works, who extorted a vulnerable country by holding up military aid. So yes, they are going to hear something new. And Chuck, if you'll grant me 1 second here, my head is only now decombusting from the exchange you had with Rand Paul. I've spent 11 years in public service defending the press, and when Senator Rand Paul comes on and says that what Donald Trump did, and the transcript is there, extorting a foreign government for his personal political gain, and that's exactly the same thing as Joe Biden, exactly the same thing as what he said, as Joe Biden saying that this prosecutor should be released, when Joe Biden is acting in consistency with American foreign policy, and back then we had a whole list of things that had to be done, and this was American foreign policy, it was European Union policy, it was IMF policy, that this prosecutor needed to go. When Rand Paul says that that's exactly the same thing as the President of the United States saying you need to find dirt on my political opponent, and with all due respect, Chuck, when you say, well, do two wrongs make a right, let's be very clear. The President of the United States demanding, extorting a vulnerable country to do his political bidding, to go after his opponent, has nothing to do with Joe Biden executing the foreign policy of the United States or Hillary Clinton, who is a private citizen, doing opposition research on her presidential opponent. Those are radically different things, and what the president did is wrong and impeachable.
Let me ask you something. You just said you think the words quid pro quo shouldn't be used anymore. It's a lot of your own colleagues that have been using it. It's part of this debate. Do you feel as if that word just doesn't penetrate the seriousness with what happened?
Well, I have two problems with quid pro quo. Number one, when you're trying to persuade the American people of something that is really pretty simple, which is that the president acted criminally.